I'm Frank Egan and welcome to our farm. We purchased this property in 1998 or thereabouts and started the restoration on Durran Durra Creek headwaters in about 2008. It's 300 acres now because we increased it from the original purchase, and it's sort of rolling countryside with some flat areas and quite a deal of quite dense forest, mainly narrowleaf peppermints. And the creek originally, when we bought it, was a river when it rained. It was an erosion gully which had developed over years of neglect and mismanagement, and to my way of thinking, erosion gullies are a result of mismanagement up there in the catchment, and so you don't actually cure the problem of the erosion gully without first starting high up in the catchment, and you get the water going into the ground and not across the surface of it. When we first bought it, 25 mils of rain it'd be like a lake, and now it takes 50 mils of rain before we even get any surface flows at all. In fact, on the weekend we had 50 mils. Okay, so when we first started, this was a substantial head cut that had developed, again, because there was no control of the water coming down from the top of the catchment. By allowing mapping the drainage lines and finding out where they were, and then structuring your grazing so that you gave the plants a chance to get some bulk in them after you had a rain event, and to the stage now where, like I said, we had 50 mils of rain on the weekend, and there's virtually no downflow. There's no surface flow flowing into the creek. It's still coming down there through the profile. The idea with the underground weir was to capture some of the water and hold it here. And so what I did was I dug a trench across the creek with a shovel. No, this was a non-machinery effort. And then I stood sheets of galvanised iron, propped them up against the downside wall with star posts, so that when the creek actually stopped running, we held a pool of water there. And over time, that started the moisture started the grasses, the water grasses and all that, and eventually we get to what you see now. The drainage lines, I worked out where they all were coming down the slope, and put little barriers in, usually just with broken branches. You just stick them in the drainage line with the main foliage up the slope, and that allowed the grass underneath it to grow without the stock eating it. And there's a series of barriers that I constructed over time that run back up the creek line and to a dam that's further up, but the rehydration effect now is about 400 metres from this point back to the head of the catchment. So this is still under construction, as you can see, and it's just big pieces of rock loosely packed, and the objective is a 50% reduction in water speed across it, and as you can see, it's really grass. When we first started, and there's photos in the file, there was virtually no grass in this stretch at all, and the water used to, by the time it got from that willow tree up the top there to down here, it was charging along at a terrific rate. Now it is slowed all the way by the grasses and by this structure and another structure further down. So this area was a natural checkpoint. The narrowing of the stream meant that you had increased the speed of the water down below it. And so I had a big heap of old wooden ironbark fence posts that had rotted off at ground level. And so we put them in a line across the creek, about 18 inches in the ground, with 2'6" above the ground. And what you can see here is all that's left. The foliage and that, the grasses have grown to such an extent that they've completely covered up the posts across there. So it works even better now, and the posts are still there, but with all the foliage, it's reduced the speed of the water, but it did so right from the get-go. And the fact that you'd broken the speed of the water just here meant that it didn't have the energy to damage the creek further down. And yeah, it's just worked a treat. It's interesting that the creek bed proper below here has risen 60 centimetres over the years, where you continually got the grasses growing and dying, and it's it's almost like a peat swamp now down there. But the fact that we've lifted the bed by 60 centimetres in soil height, I think is a real achievement. Right, so as I've said before, on the weekend we had 50 mils of rain over the catchment, and at the moment there is the smallest trickle of water leaving our place, because the bulk of the rain has been captured in the upper catchment, and it'll trickle like this for weeks as it disperses. So this is the flock that we're developing. We started with 9 pure breeds, and over a period of years with random mating, and then the little introductions of parts that we wanted in the final sheep. Now this flock has not been vaccinated or drenched for 5 generations. And so, you know, we've actually managed to build the natural immunity to the worms, especially the worms, because the thing is that worms are a natural part of the sheep. They naturally have some worms, and the thing is, if their health is not up to a premium, that's when the worm population explodes, because the sheep hasn't got the natural capacity to fight them off. Like I say, you can see in amongst these sheep, there's a bit of a mixture of ones that are still carrying wool. The aim is for no wool, no horns, and no tails. So the mineral mix is probably a really important part of the whole program. I've been using this mix on all types of livestock since the late 70s, and I came across it and have modified it over the years from some original work done by Pat Colby, who was a English goat lady that set up a dairy in Victoria. And the thing is, the mix is such that it provides everything that's likely to be missing in the pasture and in the ground. And so over the years, it builds soil, it builds the stock health. And all I do is each couple of days, and they've been down here and emptied them, and I just put a cupful in each container. And the sheep tend to come each day and take a bit of it up. It's interesting that when the ewes have got young lambs taking milk off them, when the lamb first starts to pick it green at about 14 days old, the mother introduces the lambs to the mix. And so they start from about 14 days old, and they take a bit up each day for the rest of their lives, essentially. So the 5 magic ingredients: dolomite lime, and it's 5 parts. So if you you mix it up with a coffee cup or whatever, so 5 parts of lime, 4 parts of salt, and I use swimming pool salt because it's a really coarse granule, and the salt's a bit of a lolly, and it hangs, and everything else gravitates to it. 3 parts of seaweed meal, 1 part of yellow sulphur, and sort of a handful of copper sulphate, and mix it all up together, because the thing is, the thing that's likely to be most lacking in the stock are trace elements. And if you hang them out separately, which some people advocate, they'll go crazy on the seaweed meal. And it's the combination, I feel, that works, and that's just the way it's developed for me. And you can see by the stock it works. Well, thanks for coming along on the tour and having a look at the farm, and it's been my pleasure to present it to you, and you never know, one day you might make it out here in the flesh. Bye for now.